Hi, my name is MinJeong Chae. I am majoring in Beijing Nursing at Joseon Nursing College. This study is comparative study of change in problem solving, ability, critical thinking, disposition, and self-directed learning ability according to online and offline practice for nursing students. The purpose of nursing education is to emphasize the improvement of nursing ability through theoretical and practical education. The educational environment is changing due to the recent COVID-19 pandemic. Observation-oriented nursing practice is unsatisfactory and there are few opportunities to learn clinical skills, causing many difficulties when becoming a new nurse and leading to early retirement. Simulation-based learning can replace clinical practice and practice safe and diverse clinical situations. However, expensive equipment and active participation of practical students are required, and there may be fear of making mistakes during practice. Virtual reality simulation is called virtual simulation, computer-based simulation, virtual clinical simulation, e-simulation, web-based simulation, and repeated self-learning is possible regardless of time and place, and feedback on the performance process is possible. Participants are less burdened with mistakes and have a positive effect on improving their confidence. Let's look at the purpose of this study. The purpose of this study was to verify the effectiveness of virtual reality simulation education and offline clinical practical education for nursing students. For specific purpose, first, the problem-solving process, critical thinking disposition, and self-directed learning ability of practical students were identified before and after the online virtual practice simulation education. Second, problem-solving ability, critical thinking, disposition, and self-directed learning ability were identified before and after offline clinical practice education group. Third, the degree of problem-solving process, critical thinking disposition, and self-directed learning ability was compared between the online virtual reality simulation education group and the offline clinical practice education group. Research design to evaluate the difference in educational effect between online virtual reality simulation and offline clinical practice for nursing college students. Non-equivalent control group, pre- and post-similar experiment design was used. The subject of this study were third grade of C nursing college in GCT, and number of subjects for statistical significance was 14. The experimental group was 19 and the control group was 18. The research tools are as follows. The measurement tool of problem-solving process was Lee, Park, Chae, and 5-point scales was used with 30 questions. The higher the score, the higher the problem-solving ability. The Kronberg's alpha value of this study is 0.2929. To evaluate the critical thinking disposition, the tool developed by Yoon-jin was used, and the 5-point scale was used with 24 questions. The higher the score, the stronger the critical thinking disposition. The Kronberg's alpha value of this study is 0.874. The measure self-directed learning ability. The tool developed by Lee and others was used. The 5-point scale was used with 45 questions. The higher the score, the higher the self-directed learning ability. The Kronberg's value of this study is 0.933. For online virtual reality simulation, education, neurocognitive system, skin system, abdominal system, musculoskeletal system, assessment scenario were selected among health assessment scenarios provided by Reardon Medicals and Bertulus Kilbero. Data collection from June 8 to 14 in 2020. The subjects were students who explained the purpose of the study and agreed to participate in the experiment. The homogeneity test between the two groups was conducted by pretest. Virtual reality simulation training was conducted from Monday to Friday. Applying clinical practice was conducted from Monday to Friday for the control group. The advice access the VSIM homepage for nurse and registers the education corresponds. The subject will be able to understand the overall implementation task by watching pre-education video. Instruct online virtual reality simulation training. The evaluation score after the training through repeated practice is at least 90 points. This slide awards process of VSIM program. Actual practice process scene was shown at the slide. Suggested reading describes the practice scenario, provide patient information for task, journaling, and learning process. Pre-simulation quiz to determine the preparatory level of subject. Performs VSIM, which provide nursing to patient in virtual space. The post-simulation quiz evaluates the knowledge associated with the scenarios after the simulation is over. Perform the documentation assignment. It presents the subject for patient information and using nursing intervention rated the scenarios. Review and view what you learned after the simulation experience through the guide reflection question. Let's find out about offline training conducted by the control group. We conducted a practical training in the surgical ward of the Medical University Hospital. On the first day, we check patient information for case studies and select the subject. On the second day, the clinical practice professor will teach the students to apply the nursing course. On the third, fourth day, students will be able to complete for nursing course through patient observation and medical record review. Fifth day, we have presented the nursing course written for about 15 minutes for each student and provided individual feedback for about 5 minutes. SPSS 25.0 was used for data analysis. The first general characteristics of the subject were frequency, percentage, mean, and standard deviation. The homogeneity test of the two experimental groups was analyzed by chi-square test and Mann-Whitney. Second, Mann-Whitney was used to verify the homogeneity of problem-solving process, critical thinking disposition, and self-directed learning ability of the experimental group and the control group before education. Third, the difference of problem-solving process, critical thinking disposition, and self-directed learning ability between the experimental group and the control group was analyzed by Mann-Whitney. Look at the result. Homogeneity test of general characteristics of two experimental groups and the homogeneity test of dependent variable were examined. Looking at the table, there is no significant difference in homogeneity verification between the two groups on general characteristics. In the table below, there is no significant difference between the two groups in homogeneity verification according to dependent variable. The results of the difference tests are as follows. The result of comparing the difference between the two groups before and after the training showed that the online virtual practice simulation group improved statistically significantly the problem solving process, critical thinking disposition, self-directed learning ability. The result of comparison of dependent variable education of two groups showed that the problem-solving process showed statistically a significant difference compared to the control group. There was no difference in critical thinking disposition and self-learning self-directed learning ability. We will see the discussion. First, the online virtual reality simulation education group showed statistically significant improvement in problem-solving process, critical thinking disposition, and self-directed learning ability before and after the education. Similar results are also confirmed in the following papers. The second, in the offline clinical practice group, the problem-solving process, critical thinking disposition, and self-directed learning ability were improved before and after the education, but there was no statistical significance. This result can be confirmed in the following paper, pointing out the limitations of current nursing practice. Third, when comparing the results after the training between the two groups, problem-solving ability showed significantly better results in the online virtual reality simulation education group. Based on this result, online virtual reality simulation education is efficient, repeat learning is possible, and it is possible to mix with other educational methods. The result of this study may be the basic data for future research. further research. Conclusion and suggestion. Online virtual reality simulation education is a way to supplement the lack of medical practice in a changed medical environment. In the future, it is necessary to develop a program that can maximize the practical effect by mixing various scenario development and other educational methods. Based on the result of the study, the following are proposed. We develop an online virtual reality simulation education program to improve critical thinking disposition and self-directed learning ability, and propose repeated research through various subjects and variables. Thank you.